Ladies and gentlemen of the Cover Killer Nation, Black Sabbath is back. And for real this time. There's going to be new material that's going to be written. They're going to do a tour. And it's not something that's just, attached to an Ozzfest. Though, you never know. It might be eventually in the end. But wow. Hard to believe. Black Sabbath, of all bands, going to be back. For real. For legit. It's something that's happened before, don't get me wrong, and of course it's mainly just been for touring purposes or for an Ozzfest or just as a way to kind of assemble the boys back together and get the band going again. But then of course, they did stuff with Ronnie James Dio in Heaven and Hell, and a lot of people wondered if maybe that bridge had been burnt. Well, this is an indication, obviously, that it's not been the case. Now, for those of you who don't know who Black Sabbath are, why are you watching this channel? But Black Sabbath easily could be considered the forefathers of heavy metal. Now, don't get me wrong, again, there were proto-metal bands prior to Black Sabbath, and Black Sabbath themselves were called Earth, and were doing kind of a strange little incantation or semblance of the idea themselves prior to becoming Black Sabbath. But many people cite Black Sabbath as the true historical forefathers of heavy metal. And that Tony Iommi is the godfather himself of heavy metal, the heavy metal patriarch. Ozzy is the original voice of metal, etc., etc., etc. This is a band that didn't necessarily get all of their exposure and all of their adoring fans and the status just overnight. It's something that took a great deal of time and a lot of effort and, just a number of records really, and a lot of different exposure being brought to the band because of, the Paranoid video, for example, because of albums such as Paranoid, Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, things like that. In fact, I have a really cool little relic. It's unfortunately out in my car right now, but it's a Black Sabbath self-titled album 8-track. And I think that's just really cool. It's a cool little relic to have because I have it on CD, and I think somewhere in the gallows in my collection I may also have it on cassette. But this is a band that also went through many trials, tribulations, changes, mainly in the vocalist department, and the most notable shift was, of course, the arrival of Ronnie James Dio for the Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules discs. This is ceremoniously seen as where Dio was able to get a wealth of exposure after being in Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. And directly after his dismissal from Black Sabbath, he went on to form his own solo project Dio, which did extremely well, especially its debut, Holy Diver. Now, similar successes were not nearly met to the same level with another vocalist of theirs, which was, of course, Tony Martin, who oftentimes has been kind of belied as being the man who sung on traditionally, from most traditional fans' perspectives, Black Sabbath's worst material, but it's really not always the case. So I'm here to announce that there's going to be two things that are going to be going on here within the future besides my typical array of album reviews. I, of course, have the Pink Floyd discography, and now I'm going to add one more discography onto the list, and that's the Black Sabbath discography. And for those of you who are wondering why the Pink Floyd discography hasn't gotten started yet, just be patient. Just be patient. I told you I had big plans for this discography, and I told you it might take a little while. Well, it is. So, we're going to have two concurrent discographies. You guys talked me into it. I posted this as a status on Facebook, whether or not you guys wanted me to do one album, and a lot of you guys said I should just do the discography review. So that's what I'm going to do. So, be on the lookout for that. That's going to get started here coming up pretty soon. Hell yeah, Black Sabbath is back.